This was not meant to happen. George Galloway, the new MP for Bradford West. And just hours earlier, the looks on the faces from Labour said it all. They knew the numbers were not adding up.
And I do hereby declare that George Galloway is duly elected.
He won with a staggering 10,000 majority, and he gave a winner's speech to match.
This, the most sensational result in British by-election history, bar none, represents the Bradford Spring.
A changing of the seasons at Labour's expense. They thought they'd win here. Today, the inquest into why they didn't began.
It was an incredibly disappointing result for Labour in Bradford West, and I am determined that we learn the lessons of what happened. And I'm going to lead that. I'm going to be going back to the constituency in the coming weeks to talk to people there about why this result happened.
The Liberal Democrats got just over 1,000 votes. The Conservatives came third, but said Bradford West was Labour territory.
This was more or less a kind of a comfortable win for the Labour Party, and they completely messed it up. And I think Ed Miliband needs to take a serious look at his leadership.
George Galloway is not your average politician. He was expelled from Labour in 2003. He had an audience with Saddam Hussein, and there was the confrontation with US senators. But what happened here in Bradford? Yes, he ran a great PR campaign, and George Galloway was ever present in this city. But more than that, he knew his audience and he knew what to say to them.
Well, those soldiers have already been withdrawn from Afghanistan.
His message was anti-war. Who did you vote for?
George Galloway. It's not just the people of Afghanistan who are losing their lives, it's British blood that's been spilled. And it seems as though the government just don't value the blood of British soldiers.
And then there were those who wanted to send a message to the main three parties.
I'm voting for George Galloway.
What did he offer you?
He's a very charismatic chap, and he seems to make sense when he speaks.
They say George Galloway is a one-off. Some politicians hope the same can be said for this by-election. Ed Thomas, BBC News, Bradford.
Well, I think there's a massive well of dissatisfaction in the country about the political class, about the political system. Most people have dropped out of it. Most people have long ago ceased to join political parties, attend their meetings and so on. Nowadays, it's a kind of virtual politics for a minority of the electorate. But there's a big well out there of that dissatisfaction, and if someone comes along to articulate it, to make the case for the alienated, then they're ready to rally, and I think that's what happened, especially young people.
Do you think, though, that your anti-war message resonated particularly with the Muslim community here?
No, I think most people in Britain are anti-war. It's only the mainstream parties that are pro-war, and the media which generally parrots their line. Most people in Britain, of all faiths and none, of all colours, are against these wars because we have neither the blood nor the treasure to spare in occupying other people's countries and setting fire to them.
So you want to end the mission in Afghanistan?
Well, you call it a mission, I call it a war. It's a very odd and sanitised word, this mission. New Labour has begun to use it regularly. It's not a mission, it's a war. It's an occupation in which real blood of real people is spilled. And it's time to bring Britain out of Afghanistan right now, not a moment too soon. And that's a feeling that's shared by the majority of people in Britain.
Do you, though, condemn those who attack British troops in Afghanistan?
Of course I don't. It's inevitable that people are going to attack British and American forces that are occupying their country. If you don't mind me saying so, that's a very silly question. If our country was occupied, we would attack the occupier. That's why I want our soldiers out of there, because I don't want any more of them coming back in boxes. And I don't want them leaving other people in boxes.